Okay, so on to the next Skip the Line reaction, and this one is once again for Brendan C. Thank you very much. This is your second one. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you supporting the channel. The song is called Carry You by Ruelle, and it's featuring Fleurie as well. Don't know any of these people, but you did put a message over here. Phil, please refer to the paragraph or two in the YouTube video description for Ruelle's explanation of the song and video. Also, since the song is somber, like my other request, Worthless by Nathan Wagner, you may prefer not to record your reactions to both very close together. Do not worry about that. That's never going to affect me. I can handle it. Right, let's just go straight into the description. Let's read that. I wanted to create something that sheds light on the goodness of humanity in the midst of what seems like a lot of darkness. I have always believed that people in their ugliest, most hateful states have also been wounded in some way at some point in their lives. I wanted to portray the common threads in humanity. We all feel pain. That's 100% true. We all believe in something, and that's more than ever why we should be coming together to lift one another up and not tearing each other down. It's absolutely the beauty of people coming together regardless of their differences. This song was written with good friends Laura, aka Fleurie, and Matt Browley, who also produced I Get to Love You. Lauren and I both knew after hearing the final version of the song that we had to create something visual for it, and I just couldn't get Iceland out of my head. It had been a dream of mine to shoot there, and I knew that this was the perfect song for it. Iceland's a very beautiful country, so I can see why they thought that way. I wanted it to feel more cinematic and scenic. Well, it's a perfect place to do it. In nature than like a music video. I organized a crew, and then we flew to a very remote area near Vik, Iceland. We shot the video within a few days. It was freezing cold, but worth every minute. It was an adventure, and that I will never forget. Fantastic, that sounds super awesome. Before we even get started, if you want to join the Sphere, the links are in the description. You can join the Sphere for a very small fee per month and get access to additional content. Or you can request your Skip the Line reactions, but that only opens up on a Saturday, and there's only limited amounts of slots for people to book them, because once it closes, and that does come at a fee. If you don't want to do any of that, you can just join the Fable community, and that is completely free. It's basically like a social media page. You can literally just create a profile, and you can engage with myself and the Cucumber Squad, and yeah, and can have a whale of a time over there. It works really well. You can post, you can create groups, you can do all of that kind of thing. It really is cool, and that costs you absolutely nothing. So take a look at that down in the pinned comment. Let's rock and roll. Carry You, Ruelle featuring Fleurie. Thank you, Brendan. Let's rock and roll.
It's hard to breathe sometimes. These nights are long, you've lost the will to fight. Is anybody out there? Can you lead me to the light? Is anybody out there? Tell me it'll all be alright.
Wow, beautiful voice. Firstly, the scenery is absolutely beautiful. Again, it's Iceland. It's absolutely gorgeous, right? Secondly, her voice is absolutely spectacular. Thirdly, the instrumentation is absolutely beautiful. I love that piano in the background, and I love what they're doing with it. It's brilliant, right? I really, really enjoy it. where are we? Fourthly, she's a very, very, very beautiful woman. Unbelievably beautiful woman. I do have some thoughts in terms of the actual concept of the song, which I will give you shortly. But straight off the bat, this is absolutely beautiful. Definitely down my alley.
I will carry you. I will carry you.
Beautiful girl. Beautiful girl.
I know you can't remember how to shine. Your heart's a bird without the wings to fly. Is anybody out there?
Also
Can you take this weight of mine? Is anybody out there? Can you lead me to the light?
Look, I love this song. I love the meaning of the song. I understand what they're trying to sort of portray over here with regards to humanity. Is that some people feel lost and some people do the things that they do because they don't. It's not that they innately are evil. It's that because of their circumstances and their upbringing and their environment, somehow it just pushed them down that path, right? It turned them down that path. I 100% agree that human beings aren't born evil, right? There are a sequence of circumstances that need to happen in people's lives for them to turn down those avenues. And the crazy thing about that is that they can turn down those avenues because they just turn into these evil people, or they can turn down those avenues with sort of like indoctrination and ideology that tells them that what they're doing is right. The majority of the atrocities that have been committed in the world has always been under the guise of compassion. Always. It's always been like that, right? The majority of the most heinous acts in human existence, down to the Holocaust and down to Spanish Inquisition and down to any of those things, right, was that this was better for humanity. Like it was out of compassion. They actually convinced society, who were majority good people, that this was within ethical boundaries, because it was kind of like that. You got to break a few eggs to make an omelette type vibe, right? And society accepted that because it came across as compassionate. It came across as you're doing this for the greater good, right? And hence why we got like the Holocaust, and why we got millions of decent people, of people who are good people, who sat aside and did absolutely nothing when they knew that people were getting gassed and killed in Auschwitz, right? The fact that they say, oh, well, we never knew. Of course they knew. They did know that those atrocities were happening, right? But they turned a blind eye because the lie is what sort of, that's what controlled society. They lived for that lie. The lie was the society, right? And that all came through compassion at the end of the day. And I mean, it's like, you know, a tree that grows to heaven. If you actually had to sort of, if I had to sort of describe humanity in one way, and every single person, because anyone is like, oh, I'd never do that. Of course you can. In every single person, there's the ability to be Hitler and there's the ability to be Mother Teresa, right? A tree that grows to heaven can only grow to heaven if its roots grow to hell. And that's the thing about humanity, is where you don't get the people that stand for that kind of thing, are the people who are able to look at their roots and look at themselves and understand the evil within them, right? Understand that they can possess the power to be evil, right? Every single one of them. Every single person on earth is capable of great evil. And I'm not saying that you will go and actually do the act itself, but it is evil in itself to turn a blind eye to acts of human tragedy, right? Which the majority of society does, and does all of the time, because they're somewhat out of fear and somewhat out of the fact that they don't really want to be engrossed in something like this, because if they stand up, then it's the hope that, they're kind of going against society and they might be shunned. So you can understand that, right? But that's where the dangers come with how you get what happened in the early 20th century, right? Is people turning a blind eye, people not realizing that they've got the capacity for evil within themselves, right? People that are narcissistic and nihilistic, and they lionize idols and things like that, and they follow blindly without looking at themselves and looking in the mirror and saying, like, wait a second, is what I'm doing good? Do I have a moral standard over here? Do I exist, and do I work within a moral standard, right? Because what's happening in today's society is everyone's just trying to get rid of that moral standard, right? So that's why we're going into this sort of secular progressive ideology, in the sense that, we don't want religion in our lives. And regardless of whether you believe there's a God or no God, or Jesus or no Jesus, means absolutely nothing. It's the idea of a religious perspective, or a religious following, regardless of what it is, regardless of what religion it is, whatever you believe in is the best in the world. But the idea of following one of those things is more for the guardrails, it's more for the morality aspect of it, right? It's more for that you've got a standard by which you live by, so that you can at least feel some shame when you sin. But what people don't want these days is they don't want the shame, because shame is as painful as physical pain. It really is something that's unbelievably debilitating. Am I saying that right? Debilitating. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? So it is something that's absolutely debilitating. So what people don't want to do is they don't want to feel guilty, yet they do want to still follow those temptations and those decadences. But if they do that, they know it's wrong, right? So they're going to feel guilty. They're going to feel shameful for what they do. So what they try and do is what we're doing today in society is we're saying, okay, in order to remedy that, we need to eradicate moral standards. If you don't hold yourself to any standard, right, and we can say everything is relative and there's no reality and we don't need to follow any truth, right? And in reality, we can be whatever we want, we can do whatever we want, and we don't have to be accountable for anything, which means we don't have to be shameful for anything if we sin. Right? We don't have to feel that sense of shame. We don't have to feel guilt, because I don't hold myself to a standard. I don't hold myself to a moral standard. Right? And that's very, very dangerous for a society. And we've seen this going back to the Roman Empire. It's an unbelievably dangerous ideology to possess, because what happens is you have a society that is very, very eager, right, to follow any trope that is thrown at them, or to follow any tagline that's thrown to them by politicians and ideologues, right? And then holding on to that as a sense of belief, right? And then calling themselves compassionate for it, right? It's a very narcissistic thing to do, to actually go and take the credits of others and to take credit for that, for something you've never done. You're standing on the shoulders of greater people and greater men, right? And then trying to take credit for that, trying to make yourself as the better person, right, in your narcissistic way. And then you follow these ideologies because everybody else is following them through all of these movements, and they're pushing it on you in society. And you follow these ideologies so that you can get the adulation of other people saying, yeah, you're doing the right thing, right? Don't forget that Hitler's Germany had that same ideology. They were like, you're doing the right thing. This is for the Germans. This is for the good of humanity. Eradicating Jews is the right thing to do. And it may seem like we're doing the wrong thing, and it may seem like, but these are lesser people, right? We need to eradicate lesser people. And they didn't just do it so blatantly like that. They played on these psychologies in a manipulative way, because if Hitler had just come out and said, no, we need to kill all Jews, people would be like, whoa, okay, that's a bit hectic. right? But the way he played on them was he played with the compassion. He played with the whole like hate your neighbor thing was what you're seeing today. He played on the whole that these people are the ones that are keeping you back. These people are the ones that are taking everything from you. These people are the one that hold the riches, that kind of thing. And he slowly built an ideology whereby it was compassionate to hate the other side, right? Because we are for the Germans and we are for the German rights and we are for the purity of humanity. So it's very easy to play on that. And that's why it is so important for humanity to look at themselves and to look at their own roots and to look at the evils within them and to look at what they accept so that they are able to be good people. They are able, the greatest things that were done in humanity were done during tragic times, and they were done by people that stood alone and went up a greater system that they would be taken down for. These were people that actually sacrificed of themselves, of their resources, and gave even their own lives to do the right thing. Not to do what everybody else did because they thought it was compassionate, but to do the right thing. And they knew what's right and wrong. You don't need to have a God that tells you what's right. You know what's right and wrong. You know what the moral standings are. You know what's good and bad. You know what's truth and not truth. You know what's real and not real, right? And we're living in a society where they're telling you where they're currently telling you to ignore reality, ignore your lying eyes, right? Ignore reality, ignore science, ignore what has existed for millennia, right? And been studied for millennia. Ignore all of that and pursue this ideology because it's compassionate, right? And that has been the playbook for every atrocity that has happened to humanity since the beginning of dawn. And that's why it is important to get people to look within themselves and to say, all of us have flaws. All of us have flaws. All of us, no one is one better than the other, right? But it starts in your own home. Before you pointing fingers, which we do all today, all we're doing is pointing fingers at other people. None of our houses are in order. None of them are in order. All of our houses are mired in chaos. And we can't see ourselves for what we are. We can't see the wood for the trees. But somehow we tend to stand on the soapbox and tell people, no, this is what needs to happen because I'm compassionate. Because I put these things on my bio. Look at me, I'm a great person. I don't have to sacrifice of myself. I just need to show you that I stand with these beliefs. And that's dangerous. That's very dangerous. So yes, and a lot of that ideology comes from, from sort of people that have been hurt, people that feel like there's a sense of belonging, right? They need to belong somewhere. They need to fit into society somewhere. So what these politicians do is they create these voids where you don't know where you meant to belong, and then afterwards you plug in to these radical groups that you feel a sense of belonging, and then they indoctrinate you into an ideology, right? Be it whatever the ideology is, they'll indoctrinate you into an ideology, right, that is very one-sided. And because you feel like you belong there, because of all, because you felt out and you're driven by your insecurities and you're driven by your pain and things like that, right? Not realizing and not noticing that, not noticing your roots that grow to heaven. Not noticing the roots that grow to hell, that you think that you may be in heaven, but you're not. People need to look within themselves, and they need to look about what is right and what is wrong. And you know what is right, and you know what is wrong. And you know that you shouldn't just be compassionate for the sake of being compassionate when you know that you're going against truth and you're going against reality. And the only way you're going to see that is if you look at yourself and you look at the failures within yourself and you look at the truth within yourself, and you can introspect and look at yourself in the mirror and be like, these are my dark sides. And until I can deal with that, I have no place in society to be pointing out or to be deciding what's compassionate or not. Because I don't even know what is right and wrong within myself, because I refuse to look at the dark side of myself. So yeah, anyway, this is another long reaction. Anyway, let's carry on. Beautiful song, beautiful scenery, beautiful woman, beautiful instrumentation, beautiful message. Absolutely, I absolutely love that. I mean, it can stand for this message. I mean, the message in terms of their description is not eminently clear in the song itself. It almost is like, okay, you know, if you're in pain and, you know, you're hurting, it's like, I will stand for you. I will be here, you know, to carry you. Like, you're not alone, essentially. And there is someone that's going to love you, and I love that. That's a great message. But it also starts with you. You need to love yourself. If you do not love yourself and you do not accept yourself, no one in the world can do that for you. No one in the world will ever do that for you. You need to accept and love yourself, and the only way you are going to truly do that is to look into your dark side and realize that there are flaws that you have that needs attention. And not stop running away from that. You need to tackle those. You need to tackle those demons head on, and you need to carry your burdens. And you need to look at your past and look at your pain, and you need to be like, this is very much part of my life. And the reason all of those demons are there is because they're going to eventually shape you, right? You need both sides of that coin to shape you. You will never just have the good side. You can never just look at the good side. Everyone has their dark side. Everybody makes mistakes. But if you refuse to acknowledge your demons, and you refuse to acknowledge that you do possess the capacity for evil, it'll be easier to turn you into someone evil than it is to turn you into someone good. Being good is being able to understand and identify your capacity for evil, and that you are able to do the most heinous things if a society pushes you. So, yes, part and parcel. Beautiful song. Anyway, we saved it by 5 minutes. The last reaction was half an hour. Anyway, I love you all, man. Peace, stay safe, peace out. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.